Okay, I'm Chris Avina. I'm the host of American Outdoor News Podcast, and today we're here with Bruce Hutcheon, the host of Hutch on Hunting. Bruce, thanks for taking the time.
Hey, I'm always excited to be with you. And ever since we've met and chit-chatted, I really, support what you're doing and love being on American Outdoor News Podcast.
Now, Bruce, you have a long-standing podcast, Whitetail Rendezvous. You've interviewed hundreds of people, and now you're starting a new podcast. How'd the new podcast come about?
The new podcast came about because I got to go back. I got to take a step back. I had a partner in Whitetail Rendezvous that started in March 2015, I think it was. And we ran it together, and just like any partnership, you have a give and take. That's just normal. But I got to a point that we weren't monetizing it, and I think there grew some frustration on my partner as well as myself, because we had put over 5 years into the podcast. And so October, 2019, we just agreed that it was over. And so, it was a wonderful podcast, over 500,000 downloads, over 600 guests. And I learned a lot about whitetail hunting. I thought I knew something, but, I had some wonderful, wonderful guests. One of my favorites is Dan Infeld from Wisconsin. And there's other people, I can't mention them all. We'd be here the whole time. But anyway, so I stepped away from that. And then last January, 2020, a friend of mine said, "Hey, I want to sponsor you. I want you to do a podcast for my company, Grandpa Ray Outdoors." And I said, "Here's what it's going to cost." And he said, "Fine." And so I did that for a year. Well, about 6-7 months. And I said, John O'Brien is the owner of Grandpa Ray Outdoors, one of the finest seed companies. But even more than that, John was an educator about food plots, about seed. And, I said, "John, I'm leaving September 1st, actually September 9th, I started elk hunting, then I'm gone till December. That's how much I hunt." And I said, "I'm shutting her down." I said, "I will get shows up to October, then we're done. And here's my final invoice." And so that went away. And then, so I didn't do anything last fall as far as podcasting, and it was fun and it was enjoyable. But then I had people say, "Bruce, with your knowledge, with your resources, with your connections in the industry, you really need to do something a little bit different, not just interviewing whitetail hunters, but becoming a resource for people who want to get into hunting." The DNR throughout the country, Fish and Game, they call it the 3 R's. And the 3 R's are recruitment, retention, and reactivation. And I have a friend, Meadow Caulfield, who is actually on the board for Minnesota for the 3 R's. And so when you think about that, recruitment, bringing people into our industry. Now, I just read something the other day that Colorado had one of their largest increases in revenue last hunting season. And the reason they did that was people, one, had the time. Two, they wanted organic food. They didn't want to go to the grocery store and pay what they were doing, paying what they had to pay for rat beef. And so they said, "Okay, I can go hunting, I can get a year's supply of meat, and I can have some fun." And Colorado's one of the best states in the United States to come, because we have a huge number of DIY, over-the-counter, OTC tags for elk, for bear. We have too many bear, so you can get a bear tag very easy. We have a lot of whitetails. The hard thing about whitetails is getting access to where they are. On the Eastern Plains, they don't want the elk, so it's very easy to get a tag. So all in all, it's very easy to get an elk tag in Colorado, come out here, enjoy Colorado, and secure some food.
So tell us about Hutcheon Hunting, your new podcast. What's that going to encompass? Is it going to be along the lines of Whitetail Rendezvous, or are you expanding your talking points? Are you venturing into different topics, different areas?
Yeah, the different areas, and I just hit on a little bit, was the 3 R's: retention, recruitment, and reactivation. And recruitment, I want to help people. I want to be a resource for somebody that has never hunted before. Yes, I've killed ducks. Yes, I've killed geese. Yes, I've killed pheasants. Yes, I've killed rough grouse. Let's see. I've never shot, let's see, ptarmigan. I've seen them, but I've never shot them. So I covered the upland game birds. I've shot a heck of a lot of rabbits when I lived in Foster Center, Rhode Island, squirrels. So I've hunted a lot. I've done some trapping. Am I an effective trapper? If I had to survive trapping, I could do it with snares.
Okay.
So you go back and look at my heritage. I grew up in a tiny town called Foster Center, Rhode Island, and 1,000 people. I don't know what it was, but I learned from the old guys because they knew right away that I loved the outdoors. I trapped my first fox when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Trapped a lot of rabbits, and I never got into mink, but I did make sets for fox because you could sell the pelts. And so I've done enough. I've traveled enough. I've met enough people that, listeners, if you want to figure out how this whole thing works, email me at hutchonhunting at gmail.com. And I'd love to talk to you. Hutcheon Hunting is going to evolve into a resource where once I get critical mass, whatever that number is, I'm going to have a membership that for $100 a year, let's call it that right now, $100 a year, you'll have access to me and my resources. What does that mean? Does that mean a phone call during office hours? Yes. Does that mean a list from my gear shop? Because I have hundreds of people on social media now. I've been just watching social media. How do I do this? How do I do this? What area do I go to in Wyoming? What area do I go to in Colorado? What area do I go to in Montana? I've lived in Montana. I've hunted Wyoming, and I live in Colorado. One thing you might not know, Chris, I wrote over 200 big game profiles for Go Hunt when they were first getting started. So another credential that people said, when you go to Insider at Go Hunt, the original profiles for Colorado for elk and deer and moose and sheep and goats. Did I leave anything out? I never did any bear ones because I'd never bear hunted much. But anyway, they were all there. I created them. So that gives me extreme credibility to be able to say, okay, here's what you're doing. And here's how you do it. Here's where you should go. And yes, things change. We just had hellacious wildfires. So that's important to know. If you read anything from Randy Newberg, he loves hunting burns. Why? Because if the burn happened last fall, it'll go through the winter. There'll be moisture. And in the springtime, it'll bloom. And guess what? The critters know that there's food over there, the best food they've had in years. So there's a hint, and people will say, well, why is this important? Here's why it's important. Here's what happens to the soil. We're not talking about just, sticking a string and loading the gun and go and shoot somebody. We're going to go back and tell people why they need to understand their environment, the habitat, to be a successful hunter.
Well, it's important that we need more educators in the industry, especially now, since COVID. There's been such an influx of new gun owners, new hunters getting out in the field that can really use the education or mentors to help them through the beginning processes so they become a seasoned hunter.
And I couldn't agree with you more. And that's the thing. So Hutcheon Hunting is going to be a podcast where we're going to have discussions about how do I get started? What state should I choose? What type of weapon should I use? What type of clothes should I have? And I'm going to back that up with a gear shop. I'm going to establish affiliates with the top name brands that I personally use. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want you to promote mine, I'll say, today, I'll say no. Tomorrow, I might change my mind. But if somebody says, I want you to use XYZ boots, I'll say, okay, send me a pair of boots. I'll run with them next fall and we'll see next winter. Because as you know, in this industry, people do a lot of things for the buck. That's just the way it is.
It is a business. Yes, we're passionate about the outdoors. We're passionate about hunting. We want to get out there. We want to bring somebody new into the industry. But fact is, it's a business. We have our podcast. I have my magazine. It's a business. So yes, it's about generating revenue as well. And I know we were just talking about that with hunting in Colorado. You mentioned their revenue. Can you expand a little bit about that?
Yeah, what's happened is because we have tremendous elk herd, we have tremendous public land, and we have the ability to somebody go to Walmart, buy a tag, and go hunting. No draws. And as you know, you've been around for a long time. We have draw creep, we have, letterman access, we have more people than, tags, all these type of things. I've been putting in for sheep tags for over 20 years and I've drew one. Multiple states, I've drew one. And people said, how can that be? I said, I got bad luck.
No, it's just the way it is. Actually, I had that same discussion with Craig Boddington where, he was, a seasoned hunter. He's been around forever. He just got his first ram tag this past season. So he went on a ram hunt.
Yeah. And that's the way it is, folks. So you have to have a strategy to do that. And there's companies that are out there that'll help you do that if you want to spend the money, or you can set up a computer program, which it takes a little time, but you set up a computer program and say, okay, Arizona, like New Mexico, I just got an email from that saying, hey, it's time to think about strategies, all this. So you go to New Mexico and you go to their page and say, okay, what do I want to hunt this year? Nice thing about New Mexico, they don't ding your checking account until you get the tag.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
That's nice. Good.
And so, just that little thing. How do I do this? Well, that's what Hutcheon Hunting is going to do.
That's great. Now we're going to take a quick break here for our sponsors, Underwood Ammo, Standard of Excellence. Check out underwoodammo.com. They cover everything from tactical to hunting. Go to their website and check them out. And we got a commercial break here with Hunt of a Lifetime. So take a look at this.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
And we're back.
Well, Chris, I need to put a shameless plug in for our Burner HD. If you haven't heard of Burner, Burner is the finest non-lethal weapon in the world. What it does, think of it as a 68 caliber paintball device that shoots a pepper spray and tear gas projectile. When it hits you, your eyes burn, snot comes out of your nose, and you may or may not puke. So it's a deterrent. It's a non-lethal deterrent. If you're interested in Burner HD, reach out to me at hutcheonhunting@gmail.com.
Or you can see your ad in the latest issue of American Outdoor News, and you can reach you through there.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
No problem. Now, you went on a wolf hunt in British Columbia,
Yes, I did.
and how'd that turn out?
Well, actually, it was a great hunt, and you mentioned Craig Boddington. Craig Boddington actually had hunted with Mike Hawkridge at Bay Country Outfitters, and I haven't really talked to Mike since my hunt, so it's been a number of years. I don't know if it's the same outfit, but I know he's still on social media. Mike Hawkridge, he's from around Williams Lake, British Columbia. And so Craig Boddington was a reference, and I've had Craig on my show at Whitetail Rendezvous. And so I knew of him and had him as a guest. So, I said, well, if it's good enough for Craig, pretty good. And he did get a nice mountain goat. He didn't get a wolf. And that's the interesting thing. So anyway, so I booked a mountain goat hunt, and Mike said it was going to be a 5-day hunt. I was in the .com industry in California at that time, and I had 5 days. So I said, you can't hunt on Sunday. So I said, I will fly in on Saturday. We'll get geared up on Sunday. We'll hunt Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, come out Saturday. I'll fly home Sunday. He said, fine. So that's exactly what we did. And we went up into the mountains, and this is something that will come out with Hutcheon Hunting. If somebody's going to go to a place they've never been, you sit up, and I'll do a Google map session, and it'll actually fly. In Google Earth, you can fly. And so I flew the area that I was hunting. So I'm sitting in his office. I remember sitting in his office, and I said, what basin we're going to hunt? We got 3 basins here, and yada yada. The Fraser River's here, blah blah blah. We're in the Chicotland Mountains, pardon me, and south of Williams Lake. And he said, "What?" And I started telling him about the drainages and the basins. He says, "How do you know all this stuff?" I said, "Click, click, 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 bam," and I flew. I did exactly what I had done prepping for the hunt. And why did I do that, folks? And this is really important. I don't care where you are in the north, in the provinces of Canada, or in Alaska, and you're hiring a guide. My question to you is, what if the guide dies? How are you going to get your butt out of there? People don't think about that.
No, it's being prepared. Accidents happen.
And so I want to know the drainages, that if you follow the drainage downhill, ergo downhill, folks, you sooner or later will come to a road, a bridge, a cabin. You will come to something. And there are a few rivers. The only thing depends on where you are. There are a few rivers that run north, especially up into the Arctic Ocean. So you got to be careful of that if you're up there. But any other place, you're going to be fine. And so I went on this goat hunt, 3 days, boom, I had my billy, and it's on the wall. Just missed Boone and Crockett. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous goat, 400 and some odd yards. We got it off the mountain. And if you want to read about that, that's at Go Hunt, Bruce Hutcheon, and there's a story about my mountain goat and a story about my wolf. So we did it in 3 days. So now it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday we were out. Thursday, Mike's taking care of my hide and getting ready for half mount. And he says, "What do you want to do tomorrow?" I said, I don't know. How about a wolf? He said, "Yeah, depending on the weather, we'll go see a wolf." And so that's what we did. Next morning we get up and it was a little drizzle. And we took the truck to the end of the trail. And there's logging roads and mining roads. It's not as isolated as you think, folks. I mean, there's roads everywhere, just like parts of Alaska. There's a lot of roads in Alaska. You just don't hear about them. Anyway, so we get to the end of the road, get out of the truck and load up. And here's another. If you're going after a wolf and your guide doesn't have a gun, tell him to go get a gun. Remember that. That's important. So anyway, he doesn't have a gun. We walk down the trail and we come to this puddle and he goes, "See those tracks?" He said, "Yeah, wolves will not walk through a puddle. They walk around it." So we saw the wolf tracks and go, "Oh, okay." So there's wolves in the area. We already knew that. So we come around this bluff and we walked maybe a mile to another lake. He said, "We're going to launch the boat." He had a boat stashed with a motor. And he said, "We're going to go to that isthmus, a connection between two lakes. And into it is a floodplain, a drainage, a thick spruce forest in a floodplain where this river comes out of the mountains and has just dispersed. And so it's a big spruce swamp." And so he says, "Okay, here's the deal. Before we climb down to the lake, I'm just going to call. And if he come back at me, game on. If they don't, we'll walk back to the truck, go fishing or whatever." I said, "Okay." And so he said, "Just sit here, just be quiet." And he starts voice coiling. And I can't do any close, but it's just a howl, just ooh. And he has tone intonations and everything. And so he's sounding like a wolf. Then he shuts up. There's a couple series, one or two that just shuts up. We just sit here. He does it again. It's kind of like rattling or something. You got to hit a sequence. Anyway, so he did his sequence. You sit there, and we're talking like a half an hour. We're just sitting there. Then all of a sudden, bam, comes right back at it. He said, "Game on." He just lights up and hustled down, launched the boat, went to the isthmus, and set up on a sweeper. Now, if you don't know what sweepers are, folks, it's a big spruce or hemlock or pine that's fallen into this isthmus between the two lakes where there's current, and it's fallen. The root ball, is still on the shore. So I had a perfect rest. So I got behind a root ball, set my bipods up on my rifle, and he said, "Okay, here's where he's going to come out." And he had it dialed in about 150, 200 yards. Not a bad, an easy shot. Trouble is you can't see the suckers. So all of a sudden he says, "Here comes one." I'm looking at this grass and the hummocks, if you know what a hummock is. So the hummocks grow out of the mud because remember, this is a floodplain. And so he was just weaving between the hummocks. And then he howled again. He hit him again, and the sucker popped up. He said, "Take him." That was it. I mean, I saw him and I drilled him. He was looking straight at me. So I just put the sights right below his chin, pulled the trigger, and a 165 nozzle partition, 30-yard 6 grain bullet just went from stem to stern, and he was dead. He actually lay down and feet were flaying, and he was over 125 pounds. Anyway, yeah, it was the alpha. He told me it was the alpha. So anyway, so we let everything set down. He says, "Okay, reload your gun." I only fired once, and more wolves are going to come out. I said, "Okay." And he said, "I've got the tags right here. We're good." So I said, "Okay." So he lights off again, and another wolf comes in, and another wolf comes in, and he says, "Okay, we're done." I said, "Okay, reload your gun." And so I've shot, let's see, once, twice, 3 times. So I reload, two in the chamber. Then I've got 5 because I only brought 10 shots. He said, because the odds of seeing a wolf pretty low. So anyway, we got in a boat, went across, and it was probably from the shoreline to where he finally died, because he actually crawled. He was trying to get back into the wolves and the thing. He actually crawled, so he wasn't exactly where I shot him. So we get to him, and we're doing the hero shots and the pictures and stuff. And I said, "Hey, Mike, you get in here, and I'll take a picture of you." And he's there, and no sooner than he gets set up holding the wolf and everything, that he just jumps up and goes, "Mother, boom!" Wolves. I mean, they weren't 20 feet away from him.
Wow.
The whole
That's
pack.
scary.
And he said, "Take your gun off safety." Said, "Make sure you're chambering one." He grabbed me in the back of my neck and just pulled, walked me back to the boat, 50 yards maybe. And he said, "Get ready, here they come." And so 7 wolves did a semicircle against it. So we got the river. Thank God we got the river. He said, "There's one on the far left, boom, this run right in front of us coming out of the willows, boom," and I'm just shooting. I didn't hit one. He says, "There's one right in front of us."
That situation.
Boom. So then I said, "Mike, I got one more shot." And I said, he said, "No, get in the boat. And so and I don't know why we didn't, he was amped up, I guess. I don't know why we just didn't jump in the boat and go in the middle of the isthmus and wait him out, or shoot from the boat. I guess you can't shoot from the boat. So that's probably why
you can shoot from the boat, but it's a tough shot if you're rocking.
Yeah. So anyway, we just sat there for an hour. He's shaking, I'm shaking. And I said, "We got to go get that wolf." He said, "You stay here. I'm going to go get the wolf." I said, "Are you sure?" He goes, "No, but we got to get the wolf." I said, "I'll come with you." So we go, and he gets the roof, puts it on his shoulders, and comes back out. And then we go, and we beach the boat, and blah, blah, blah. He takes the pelt off, and then we go back to the cabin. So, folks, if you want to read it, go to Go Hunt, Bruce, and type in Bruce Hutcheon, wolves or mountain goats. Just type in Bruce Hutcheon, and it'll come up. And you can read the whole story. And yeah, but it's a scary thing. And I'll segue now into Colorado and information and what's happening in November 4th. It was voted 50.9% to 49.1% to reintroduce wolves. And they're already here. I have ranches up near Irish Canyon, and she's seen wolves, and the wolves are here. And so there's no reintroduction of a species that's already here, but yet we're going to have it. And so that's the power of people in today's, I guess, climate, that money speaks. And I think we raised a coalition of Fight the Wolves raised maybe $2 to $3 million. They had people dropping that amount of money for marketing stuff. But so what I would tell people, 2023 is when they're supposed to start dropping wolves. 2023, 24, putting wolves in the wilderness areas. So if you're going to hunt Colorado, you better hunt now. Don't wait, because we've already seen what's happened in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho with the wolves. I've already been to Alaska where I couldn't hunt caribou.
Of them introducing the wolves into the area. How does that affect the existing herds? deer, elk, antelope.
Well, it decimates them.
Indigenous to the area.
Yeah, it decimates them. I used to hunt up in Alaska, and we had this one drainage, and we always could go in there and hunt caribou, and they just appeared with the wolves. And I love, actually, this might sound, strange, but I love wolves in the wild, because if you're in a campfire someplace in Alaska, someplace in British Columbia, and hear a wolf pack light up, it's like I'm in the wilderness. I have no problem with wolves. The problem I have with wolves is we can't manage them. If we could manage them, and folks, they won't stay. They've proven this. You can let them go in Yellowstone Park. In some cases, it's helped the ecosystem. In other cases, it's decimated the hunting population of elk, which they needed to do. They needed to manage the herd. And how do you do that in Yellowstone Park? You can't hunt. So they brought in a predator to help reduce the herd. Is that a bad thing? No, it really isn't. But wolves don't know where the fence is.
Yep. They breed, they expand, and they roam.
As a male pup, and you're the alpha male, and I'm a pup, and I become of age, I'm either going to kill you. The alpha is going to kill that pup or that young teenager, or teenager leaves. That's how it works. There's only one boss in a family. That's it. One boss in a pack.
I guess what people don't realize is when their food supply runs thin, they start going after domestic herds or domestic animals, your dog, your cat, your pet, maybe your children.
Yeah, they pioneer. And by pioneering, they go out and they'll find areas, they'll find a breeding pack will get together, and they'll start their own pack in a place they don't have any competition, because wolves will take on cats and win. They'll just blow the coyotes right out of the community, right out.
Chase them out or kill them.
Yeah, they'll flat out kill them, because they are the apex predator. There's only one predator greater than they are, and that's man. And so how do we get the balance? And unfortunately, there's some areas like Grand Mesa, the Colorado Parks and Wildlife had spent millions of dollars. And I tried to research this. I'm writing an article to the commissioners. But when they put wolves in there, they're going to take the herd way back. They do allow hunting in Colorado for moose, but they're going to decimate the herd because wolves don't sink into the snow. Wolves are a pack. Just think lions in Africa.
Sure.
The male roars. He doesn't do killing, but his pack, his pride does the killing, and they're very good at it. So these are smart animals. And so something that's sick, okay, they're going to die anyway. So, okay, if that's your argument, okay, fine, they're going to die anyway. Wolves could eat them. But then calves, as they're being birthed, are being eaten.
Yeah.
It sounds gross, but as the newborn calf is coming out, then the wolves just go in and eat it.
No,
I mean,
that's not a young, they target the old and weak.
Yeah. And that's the way it is. And so, there's a balance there, which say, okay, as a conservationist, you could say, well, maybe that's not a bad thing because we need to manage the herds. But unfortunately, we can't manage the wolves. So if we can have that balance, that could be a good thing. But we're not, as hunters, as conservationists, we're not allowed to do that. And that's the issue.
Yep.
So wolves will take over Grand Mesa. So the millions of dollars spent to reintroduce moose will be gone. Then they'll go after elk and sheep. Oh, that's a domestic animal. Wolves don't do anything to the best of animals. Wrong. Wrong. So you got elk and deer and moose in the Grand Mesa area, and then they'll just come off the mesa and drop down into where all those things go for the wintertime. Where do you think elk and deer go in the wintertime? They go to the lower lands where the domestic critters are. So it's not a win-win.
Yeah.
It's a shame Colorado's done what they've done. But as a new hunter, let's get back to Hutcheon hunting. As a new hunter, you have to understand the dynamics that are going to impact your hunting. You have to be more adaptive. You have to be more flexible, because the same cabin in northern Wisconsin that I hunted 1977 and saw $10, not deer, $10 a day from the Ace of High tree stand, Ace of Heart tree stand. Today, in a 9-day season, I might be lucky to see $10. Why? Because the wolves, they're not managed, and they've decimated the herd. Why? Because they eat deer. They're not vegans. They're meat eaters. Sorry, but they eat meat.
They can't eat tofu. Oh boy. On that note, Bruce, I appreciate your time. We're running out of time here, but we're definitely going to have you on again. There's so much more to talk about.
I haven't even got started. But I just want to give a shout out to the people at POMA, Professional Outdoor Media Association. I have some good friends over there, Kevin Paulson, Michelle Schumann, and good people. And if you're out there in the outdoor industry, you should be a member of POMA, Professional Outdoor Media Association. So with that, Chris, as always, it's a great pleasure to be with you, to chat with you, and I can't wait till we I can have one of your fancy meals together.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a tease, the stuff that I cook and post, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
All right. So until next time, if you're passionate about the outdoors, whether you're hiking the Appalachian or hunting the plains of Africa or fishing the Sea of Cortez, American Outdoors will always have it covered. Thanks again.